stager. Can you all hear me clearly? Yes. First of all, give yourselves a big round of applause. Why did I ask you to applaud? Because you made it this far. I had my doubts about how many of you would stay back until the end, and I'm glad, even though we are a little bit behind schedule. So how many 14-year-olds here? Okay, very good. You see, when I was 14, my dad set up a business. After a long and illustrious tenure in the government service, 25 years of it as a railway engineer, my dad went on and set up a business as an entrepreneur. Like most middle-class families, and how many of us here are from middle-class families? Awesome, a lot of us here, great. Like most middle-class families, my mom, my brother, my sister, myself, we all had dreams, right? That we're going to become rich, wealthy, and famous. But I was 14 years old. And this is a question only to the boys. What do 14-year-old boys think about when they are 14? You know what they think about. So I wasn't thinking about getting rich only, I was thinking about so many other things as well. Now the point is, none of that came to be. My dad's business collapsed. 2 years after that, we auctioned the entire factory, and we were literally nearly down to our last penny. Our dreams crashed. I went on to study my chartered accountancy, financed by my uncle, and that wasn't easy. But I also became a student of business. Why do some companies succeed? And why do some of them fail? Simple question, right? And as I was studying through my education, and I got into a job, I would look at companies that were successful and I'd go, wow, look at that company. The first company that I worked here in Dubai in 1991, I was like, man, I need to be somebody like this guy, the owner of the company. And whenever I would see companies that kind of fail, those tough memories of those tough times would come rushing back, and I would go, that's scary. But during that period, I learned a lot of lessons. In 2002, I came across an article by a very popular business publishing newspaper that said that 80% of all startups or 80% of all entrepreneurs fail within the first 5 years. 95% are dead by the time they reach the 7th year or near the 10th year. Now looking at my history, my father's company and some other companies, that statistic became a little bit real for me. And something happened, a little bit of fear. But then, dreams dreamt passionately don't die premature. I kept on dreaming of wanting to set up my own company. I wanted to become an entrepreneur. So in 2006, I wrote a vision statement for myself that by 2011, I would be a business owner. I would have my own consulting and speaking company. Now, I want you to understand this. I wasn't new to entrepreneurship. Why? When I was 8 years old, how many of you, have done projects in school where you have to use a lot of color and glue and all that? You run out of glue sometimes, right? Yeah, you know what I felt. I was in 4th standard or 5th standard, I was doing this project, and we seemed to keep running out of glue because of all the projects that our teachers would give us. So I got a little entrepreneurial. I climbed up the tree in our house, and some of you know that you get resin on the barks of trees. I collected that, and when that wasn't enough, quietly, surreptitiously, I climbed up the neighbors' trees as well to collect resin. And then I brought it home to the kitchen, put it into this vessel, boiled it in water, filled it up in these tiny little Camlin glue bottles, and sold it to my friends for 1 rupee per bottle. I made 10 rupees. Different matter that my neighbors were absolutely upset. And they came and told my mom, what's this little boy climbing up on the tree there? And my mom was livid because for a week after that, the kitchen smelled horrible. But I learned some important lessons. That business is lucrative when you solve people's everyday problems. My second episode with entrepreneurship. When I went into college, I decided to try my hand at photography. So I picked up my dad's SLR camera, loaded it with a film. You guys don't know anything about films, I guess. How many of you know about films? Oh, you're all dinosaurs. Oh my God, you know about films. Okay, so I loaded the camera with the film and went ahead and started clicking those films in, pictures in an intercollegiate sports competition. Out of a roll of 36 pictures, I got 5 right. I sold those 5 pictures. I made some money out of it. Doesn't matter that my dad was upset, and it was actually a very poor exercise in actually becoming a photographer. But the point is, I made money and I learned a little bit about quality, production, costs, sales, and making profits. Come to my final year in college. While talking to my friends, I realized that it's a great idea to have a lottery in college. So I went ahead, printed 1,000 tickets, because my college had, in each class we had about 100 odd students. And then we used to go from PUC, that's pre-university, that's the equivalent of your 11th standard all the way till the graduation, right? So it's 5 years, 5 sections, so a lot of students. So 1,000 tickets, started selling the tickets, and guess what? Halfway through, when I'd nearly finished about 50% of the tickets, I suddenly get called to the principal's office. Oh, you know what's coming up. I heard you're running a lottery in the college. Yes sir, do you want a ticket? It's only 10 rupees. And we have a grand prize. I'm not interested in your ticket. Don't you know that it's illegal to run a lottery in the college? Even now, when I remember that scene, a chill runs down my spine. Gone were my dreams of running a lottery in the college and making a lot of money. I refunded all the money, but I learned something very important about business. That you need to know the external environment in which you are operating. Fast forward to 2010. I set up my company. It's now 8 years since then. In the last 8 years, we have done some fantastic work. We have had some excruciatingly challenging moments and some exhilarating successes. But overall, it's been awesome fun. And I asked myself, when I crossed the 5th year, I was like, I didn't get bitten by the 5-year bug. When we crossed 7 years, I was like, yay! I felt as if I got that 100 dirham note from Dave at that moment. I was excited. It's now 8 years, and I can tell you one thing, it's been one of the most rewarding times I've ever experienced. But something came to my mind. I started becoming a student of business, and I realized when I studied business, when I studied entrepreneurship, some new statistics came about. The fact that 8 out of 10 businesses fail in the first 5 years turned out to be a myth. What I realized was that 50% of the businesses actually cross their 5th year. And this is US Department of Labor statistics. It's not something hocus pocus. Doctoral studies in Australia, South Africa, and the US proved that nearly 1 out of every 3 cross their 7th or the 10th year. And those that shut down are not because they failed, simply because the owners sold it and went on to do something more interesting. And I looked for that article which I read in 2002. I couldn't find it anymore. It was taken off the web because probably the owners realized that it was just a myth. Now, why am I telling you all this? The question that came to my mind was, what if? What if, and how would the world be if we had more young people taking up entrepreneurship as a career option? And I asked myself, I'm going to ask this and try and see what I can do about it. But what do you need to do to be an entrepreneur? So, why is it important, first of all? Today, there are over 200 million unemployed people, let alone poor and hungry in the world. You know what that means? That's the entire population of Brazil, or the entire population of the 70 least populated countries in the world. Now that's a huge number. And the world economy is growing only at around 3%. The beauty is entrepreneurs create businesses. Businesses create jobs. And jobs and people who get jobs create good customers. So entrepreneurs actually do something fantastic in the world. What do you need to become an entrepreneur? The first is courage. Now let me ask a question. How many of you are fantastic when it comes to competitive sport? Any sport. Okay? How many of you are amazingly good at music or dance? Raise your hands. And we saw some fantastic exhibitions here today, right? How many of you are great at acing your examination? Not surprisingly, the number of hands are much less. But tell me one thing that you need in order to be able to play the sport very well or dance very well. Go ahead. Passion. Dedication. Practice. Thank you very much. The one and only thing that you need to be able to do to get to that level of expertise is practice. Now courage is also practice. Courage is developing the courage muscle. You learn, just like somebody else said earlier today, you try with small projects. Faiza, I think, who said you try with small projects and then become better at it, take small risks and build that courage muscle. It's as simple as that. The next, perseverance. Those of you who have gotten to be good at sports or studies or dance or drama, you know the power of perseverance, right? Keeping at it until you find that unique way that works only for you to become successful. During my entrepreneurial journey through my school and my college, when I fell down so many times, I learned the power of perseverance. But will you fall? Everyone falls. Dave's talked about it. Everybody falls when you're trying. How many of you know how to ride a bicycle? Okay, awesome. Did you learn how to ride a bicycle by picking up the operations manual, opening it and reading it? What did you do? No. You actually climbed up onto the seat, and the moment you tried to climb up, you fell off it. You hurt your legs. You cried out in pain. Some of you decided you're never going to try the bicycle again, and some of you became better at it. Here's what it is. Falling is an event. Failure to rise is your choice. I want you to keep this in mind. We all will fall, but failure to rise is a choice that we all have. The next, find your own talent. We saw a number of people here dancing, singing, and speaking about coding. Find your own talent, something that you're good at. When I was about in grade 6, I realized that I had a talent for public speaking. I took part in a poetry recitation competition. It was called the Solitary Reaper. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Solitary Reaper. I went on to take part in declamations and debates, and then I took part in Toastmasters. I became proficient at speaking. I became confident speaking on stage. But most importantly, somewhere in Bahrain actually, I met this unnamed, unknown, kandura-clad Arab gentleman who put a small little chit into my pocket. In the airport, when I took it out, it was after the Toastmasters contest in Bahrain. It said, "Why don't you think about becoming a motivational speaker?" That moment changed my life. I wish somebody had told me that long before. It's about finding the talent within you, and then I realized I could make it a profession. And that's what I do today. The fourth thing you need is business acumen. How do you run a business? How do you make money? How do you monetize the talent that you have? And finally, it's about luck. After all of this, is it about luck? I'm not talking about the luck that you all know about. It's not the luck that I'm talking about, the blind kind of luck that you go to the washroom, you're coming back, you see this 100 dirham note lying on the floor. You say, "Oh, whose is this?" And then look around and see nobody's watching. Even though it's a 100 dirham note that's in a toilet, you pick it up and you quietly put it into your pocket. That's blind luck. And then there is dumb luck. How many of you play cricket like how Balaji used to play? Anybody here who plays cricket? You know what is dumb luck? You're at 99, you're at the crease. The bowler is about to bowl, you have just one run to score for the century. He bowls this slow googly, a curved ball. You're about to block it. It makes its way through the gap between your pad and your bat and nudges the stump. And you watch the bail in horror. The bails wobble, and then surprisingly it sits on this wicket again. Now that's dumb luck. But I'm talking about a different kind of luck. A different kind of luck where you find your talent, you get your courage, you persevere, you do all the groundwork, and then talent and preparation meets opportunity. That's the kind of luck that Bill Gates and Steve Jobs created for themselves. They learned how to code, they took their chances, they built their courage, they created a business model, and voila, when the computing boom began, talent met opportunity, and they made it big. In the school of life, your ability to deal with what life throws at you, whether it's a curveball or a straight one, is far more important than any university degree. I'm not saying university degrees are not important, but there are many more things in life. Now, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates created these oak tree-like companies. Now, why do I say oak tree? I went to a school in Mussoorie, India. It's called the Oak Grove School. And guess what? It was right in the middle of an oak tree forest. Hundreds of years old trees, huge. But those trees gave a lot of shade. They protected us from rain and sun. And during winter, they gave us firewood. Exponential impact. Entrepreneurs create exponential impact. But guess what? An oak tree comes up from a small little acorn, the size of a table tennis ball or even smaller. What I'd like you to think about is to become that huge oak tree. The choice obviously is yours. Before I conclude, let me share with you one little story. I come from a town in India called Hubli. Anybody here from Karnataka? Okay, some of you know Kannada. So near our little town there was this hillock where there was an old man who'd live, and we were kids. And this old man, we used to call him Ajja. Right? So old man had answers to all questions that you may think of. Anybody had a problem, they would go to Ajja. Ajja would come out of his little hut, he would tap his stick, and then he would answer and it would be right. So we kids were a little arrogant, we wanted to prove him wrong. So we got this brilliant idea. 3 of us got together, we found this little chick that had just hatched. We took it on our hand and we said, we'll go and ask Ajja the question, is this dead or alive? If he says it's dead, we'll open our hands, it's alive. If he says it's alive, we'll squash it. And it's dead. He can't win either way. So we went to Ajja, we knocked, we yelled out, Ajja, we have a question. He came outside and we said, Ajja, what's in our hands? And he said, oh, it looks like a chick. Oh my God, you found out? Is it dead or alive? Ajja looked at us. He touched his beard, he tapped his stick, and he said, Magu, which means young boy, the answer to that question is in your hands. Whether you want to become an entrepreneur or an engineer, whether you want to make this exponential impact in this world or not, the answer to that question, my dear friends, because mighty oaks from little acorns grow.